Starfield has a ton of things to know about, and some of them are definitely critical. In this video, we will go over the most important things that you will need to know before starting Starfield. Or even if you started, maybe in your next run through, you will do these things slightly different. I really wanted to do this video, but it was really important for me to take some time before publishing it because I wanted to make sure that I put a lot of hours into the game, thought deeply about it. So between my 50 hours of playtime and a few friends, shout out to Chusala and Kraken, we have over 200 hours worth of playtime when thinking about these must-knows for Starfield. So hopefully this helps. Let's get to it. First up, we've got number 10. Anytime you see biome complete, but it's not really complete, you can see how fauna and flora here, right next to it in green, it says biome complete, but over to the right, it says 4 out of 7 for both of them. You might ask, how am I biome complete, but not finished with these fauna and flora? All that biome complete means is that you're done with those items in that particular area of the planet. So you don't need to run around a whole bunch more looking for any fauna or flora, animals and plants. You need to go to another part of the planet. Sometimes it's really obvious where to go on the planet where there's 2 highlighted locations that you can go and there's going to be a number of different things to do there. But sometimes you might only have 1 identified or even 2 and still not be done, but you still have things left. So it's important to find another spot on the planet. I can tell you, I learned this the hard way where I was just running around searching for all sorts of things going, where the heck can I find something else to pick up? I don't understand where these things are. In my particular example, I had a complete survey quest that I needed to do. And so when I was looking at this planet, you could see I was done with those 2 locations and I just started scrolling around. I'm like, what else can I do? There's nothing else on this planet. There's got to be another way. So I scanned the planet to see the resources and I started wondering, I wonder if I could find a spot that maybe was slightly different than what I had already been at. I found a spot with mountains. I looked at water. I looked at all sorts of different spots where I thought, I wonder if this is safe. Rocky desert. I bet that isn't so bad. So maybe I should land over there. So I set a landing zone and I just went in to check it out. And not to spoil it, but it worked. As soon as I got here, I got out of my ship and I started seeing things I had not seen anywhere else on the planet. I was really, really happy to see this immediately as soon as I got out. These were nothing I saw anywhere else. I will say though that after a while, I was not able to find everything and it got really frustrating. I just kept running around and I couldn't find, I literally needed 1 more animal to find and I just couldn't find it. It was driving me up a wall. So then what I decided to do was, you know what? I wonder if I could just go back to my ship. And you can see I was quite a ways away. I fast traveled back. I immediately exited my ship so that I could see if maybe things had respawned. Lo and behold, things were totally different than they were not too long ago. And there were new items and I found the last thing I was looking for, which was nowhere to be found prior to this. So it's a nice little trick. You can see I finished it. Everything was surveyed. I'm like, perfect. So hopefully this helps you understand those biome completes. This is more for you explorer types out there, but there are some quest lines out there with surveying planets. And the faster you get those done, the faster you can get to things that you want to do. The next one is a simple one, but one you might not know because inventory management is extremely important. And sometimes when that mass gets too high, you're going to want to find ways to figure it out. So what you can do quickly is you can sort by weight. That way you know exactly how much something weighs and what is weighing you down the most. On controller, you just use the left stick and push down on the button. I'm sure the keyboard has a very simple key to press as well, but it makes it a lot easier to be able to figure out what you need to shed anytime you are getting way too heavy and having a hard time keeping your oxygen levels up. I do think the inventory system could add a couple of categories, especially for stuff like aid, so that way you can maybe get treatments separate. But that's a video for another day, and honestly, the launch has been amazing so far. It would just be nice to not have to worry too much about inventory management. And again, sorting for weight helps find out why you might be overburdened, which means you are carrying too much stuff. It's harder to fight, run, and just generally play the game. This one might be obvious to most people, but honestly, a few of us miss this. After you assign a skill point, to anything in a tree, you have the options to rank up. But you cannot rank up until you finish the challenge progress in the one before. You can see here how rank 2 is available. That is not available until I am done with my rank 1 challenge. Research methods, you can see it's available. I can get rank 2 because I am done with rank 1. In security though, you can see I'm rank 3, but I am unable to unlock rank 4. So even if I wanted to be able to use this next rank, I can't until I do everything in rank 3 as far as the challenge goes. So if you want to keep ranking up that skill, you must finish the challenge before ranking it up. Again, these rank ups, the challenges, they can be done by just generally playing the game, but you're going to want to make sure that you're selecting the skills that you know you're going to need later so that you can do this. Like piloting, I started off late, and guess what? I've destroyed way more than 15 ships, but I wasn't progressing. We're gonna have another top 10 skill item a little bit later because it's definitely critical to know for rank ups. In Starfield, there is a ton of stuff to pick up. Looking at this corner, you might not notice it right away, but you could pick up, and I like to use my scanner for this to highlight some items. You want to pick up everything you can except for junk. What's junk? This hammer's junk. All it says is mass and value. You could certainly try to sell it, but you get overburdened very, very quickly. Same with this vacuum tape. And we'll cover this a little later, but also notice that little red square with the arrow. It might take you a while to get used to what's junk, but everything else you want to pick up. All weapons, because these sell pretty well. All spacesuits, all packs, and all helmets. Even if they're gray, you want to pick these up so that you can sell them. I pick up all different apparels, aids. These are the ones that might be a little bit harder to tell between what's good and what's junk. Ultimately, what I look for is to make sure that there's additional items below the mass and the value. Typically, anytime something's down there, it is something that's worthwhile to keep. Sometimes you might find room keys. These are typically needed for anytime you're exploring a certain area and need access to rooms that you just cannot pick the lock for. Digipicks are also things that you want to pick up. These are not junk. These are for picking locks. And every once in a while, if you want to pick up something just for fun, well, you can go ahead and do that too. The hard ones might be resources. So anytime you're looking at resources, and I'm talking right here, and even sometimes in miscellaneous, something might pop up, but mainly in resources, there's nothing below mass and volume here. But if you notice above that, it says this item can be used as a component in crafting. You want to keep all of those. These things pop up all over. Coffee bags, I grab them. I might use them for ranking something up. I might need it for some sort of aid to recover health, etc. Anytime you find something that's used for crafting, you definitely want to keep it. Next, we want to talk about digipicks and locks. Something we didn't notice right away, but after figuring out is very obvious. When you've got a particular digipick highlighted, so you can see right here, I've selected this one. And you look at these rings, the outside is a bright white, but the inner one is sort of a light blue. It might be different for everybody, but that means this digipick will be, or could be, used in this inside one. As I move them around, notice how the colors change. See how the outside ring is now dark blue or a lighter blue, and that now the outside is white. Take note here how both of them are blue. That means this particular digipick can be used on both rings. Now, the important part obviously is going to be, and this is not going to be a guide on digipicks or security locks, but you can only use this on one of them. So you've got to work through the sequences to figure out which of these digipicks work on which of the rings. But I found it very helpful to potentially use the colors when it pops. So if I saw something that both, because sometimes they're both white and you don't need them at all. So you can easily skip that one or rule it out. Do you have a storage problem? Do your friends call you a hoarder? Storage in this game is really important, and you don't want to have a ship or any place looking like this, because this is a complete and utter disaster zone. How you store items, how much you carry, and in turn, your oxygen can severely affect your gameplay experience. So you're going to want to make sure to do this right. This game has several ways to help you out here, because let's be real, nobody wants to be sorting things on the floor like this. First, you've got your companion with you. In this particular case, I've got Sarah Morgan with me. You start the game with Vasco, so she can hold some gear for you. Let's trade gear. This is showing what she's currently got on her. You can see I'm storing weapons, extra spacesuits, packs, helmets, all sorts of different things. Now, obviously, I've got to leave her with some weapons and some ammo for her just to have so she can fight with me or fight alongside me. But anytime I get overburdened, I bring as much as I can and put it on her. You can see in the lower left, her mass currently is 76 out of 135. Once she gets capped at 135, she doesn't take anything else on. One item to note is anytime you want to craft, whether it be the pharmaceutical lab, weapon mods, etc., you need to have the resources on you. If you don't have it on you, then it will not show up in your ability to make whatever it is that you might want to make. I will say this is sort of a pain in the butt, but it also makes sense. You can't just be pulling from anywhere in the game. So this creates a situation where you've got limited storage and you need to save stuff like no other. There's stuff all over the place. You constantly are running around. You're on distant worlds, you get distracted by a squirrel running by, and all of a sudden you're overburdened, your partner can't carry anything, and your ship's full, you've got nowhere else to put anything. So you need a spot to basically have everything you can leave in game. And that space is going to be your room. In your room, in the lodge, in New Atlantis, you are going to have a safe. That safe is located right here. It's basically just a general storage, and you can see there the mass is infinite. So you can literally just drop everything. But again, you need to have all resources on you anytime you want to craft. So you're going to be going up and down those stairs of the lodge quite often. It would be nice if they had these rooms a little bit closer, but it doesn't take that long. Sort of is what it is. So speaking of storage, use your ship. Your ship is going to have multiple things that you can use and store it. This particular ship and all ships should have a cargo hold. It is typically close to the pilot seat, and you just walk up to it. It'll highlight it. Anything you want to transfer in there, you can. Ship parts are absolutely required in here. You want to make sure that you save space for these. Then somewhere else in the ship, typically opposite of the cargo hold, you will have something called the captain's locker. This is a very small storage place. It doesn't hold very much. You can see in this particular one, the maximum you can put in there is 40 mass. Some ships also have weapon cases. All ships should have storage crates, helmet displays, pack displays, more weapon cases, even more weapon cases, more pack displays. You can see another helmet display here. But what I want to talk about here, and you can see all my guns here are on the floor. Why would I do that? These packs all work just fine storing, but I have put weapons in these weapon racks more times than I can count. And guess what? They constantly disappear. So for some reason, these must be bugged, but at some point, I'm assuming they're going to fix this, and you can store weapons that you really want to keep in weapon racks on your ship. For now, I'm just throwing mine on the floor. One of the most critical aspects about the cargo hold is you can sell stuff from them. Whether it's contraband, which again, we'll get to in a minute, reminder of those red and yellow squares we mentioned earlier. But just in general, if you don't want to carry suits, etc., and you have space in your cargo hold, you could just drop them in there and sell to a vendor from there if needed. Now, we talked contraband. Some cargo holds are shielded, which basically means when you're carrying contraband, that's what those yellow squares were that I was talking about earlier with the little arrow in it. Anytime you're going to a system that you're likely to get scanned, that shielded cargo is going to be very, very needed because those contraband items sell for a lot and you want to be able to get those credits. So it's going to be critical to have a shielded cargo bay. The first one that I got was on a Mantis mission that I got pretty early in the game. The ship was called a Razorleaf. So this is what we were talking about with contraband. You can see these items will sell for a good amount of credits. You want to actually have these in those shielded cargo holds, so that way you can sell them to the right vendors, and we'll cover that in a minute as well. Now remember, we said there's a distinction between the yellow boxes with arrows and the red ones. Yellow ones are contraband. You could still get in trouble for it, but you could sell them to the right people. Red items, those basically mean they're stolen. You are not going to be able to get by people with those. So I would avoid stealing any items unless that's the sort of gameplay you want. And I will say, there's a pretty cool mission that you can go undercover on if you do steal some of those red items. And we'll talk about the people that you want to sell that to in just a minute. So the storage situation is definitely a tough one. You're going to want to be all over that and making sure you understand where to put things in the easiest way to store, because the worst thing in the world is needing to run back to your ship, being overburdened. It is a huge pain in the butt. But remember, there's also fast travel. That's one extra nugget in this one. Or you could always just do this and have stuff everywhere and let all your friends and family call you a hoarder. Another important aspect to know with selling is that vendors do not have endless amounts of credits to give you. Eventually, there is a pop-up that says this, but you might miss it the first time you're doing it and just start clicking, yeah, I want to sell it. I'm not worried about not getting as much as I should for this. And you might end up giving a bunch of your items away for basically free. So look at the upper right here where it says vendor credits. That's how much they can give you for whatever it is that you're selling. This particular vendor, which we'll cover more on in a second, because this is where you sell your contraband to, they're limited to 11,877 credits. And that's per day. Now, each one is a little different. So maybe it's not just per day. Some are 48 hours. And you can see that warning there. See, now it is 0. So they have no more credits. I've got to go find something to do. So the trick here is you just want to find a chair, a couch. I ran a little bit further than I needed to here, not very far, just right around the corner to these chairs right over here. And I sat on them for 24 hours. Now, not actual real life 24 hours, but in game. Once you sit down, you can click wait and you can pick for how long you do it. I did 24 hours. Now, I went back to this particular vendor and I was like, okay, I'm going to sell stuff. They still had 0 credits. I was like, what's the deal here? Well, apparently some are 48, some are 24. I'm sure some are even longer and some are even shorter. So all I did, I found a closer chair, went over, sat in it for another 24 hours. This chair is much more convenient for this particular vendor, Marcel in the den with the candlestick. So 24 hours, I go back and I just keep selling, rinse and repeat. The best 2 vendors early on are likely going to be Marcel in the den, which we're working with right here, and Zoe, who's on the New Atlantis Trade Authority. She's in the well area. She's only 24-hour cooldown, but those will give you your best options for selling for credits. And remember, just sit or sleep nearby, and then it can reset and go back and sell more. So we just mentioned Marcel and the den. The den is a safe place to sell contraband in the Wolf system. It's very critical to know where these things are. You can see right here, I highlight the den. There's not a whole lot in this system, but again, where's Wolf? It is a gigantic, gigantic game. So it's really important to know where all of these different things are. So as I zoom out here, you can see that Wolf is not very far from Alpha Centauri, which is one of those very early areas. So it's very, very convenient to get to Wolf and sell any contraband. Again, only the yellows. Now, if you do have any reds, you eventually go to jail and get let loose and get sent to this area and required to do a whole bunch of things. And look, you could either do this and have a crazy, crazy amount of time, but even if you've got red, this is just how the game goes. Everybody goes crazy. They just want to take you out nonstop. If you've got reds on you in a different area, this won't necessarily happen, but in the den, when you come here, with any sort of bounty or contraband actively present on you, specifically those red items, UC security is going to come up to you and say that you're under arrest. And you could fight your way out of this like I was shown in that other scene, but ultimately it's up to you which direction this goes. Because I tried to sit here and take out these people, see if I could still sell. Everybody in here attacks you. It's actually super easy to get through this part. And the vendors eventually respawn, but I wasn't sure that I wanted to be known for somebody who was just straight up killing UC security. I'm going for that more Deadpool Merc type of route. So again, unless you want to get arrested or go this insane, crazy, just killing everybody route, be really, really careful with those contraband yellows and avoid grabbing those stolen reds, because you will lose your contraband when you get arrested. We're going to finish with this one because we think it could be very important regarding your resources. We mentioned rank ups earlier. Some of your rank ups require crafting, which means using resources, some of which might be really hard to get. So don't just go willy-nilly making stuff. You can see here that I need 5 unique food items, drinks, drugs, weapon mods, etc. to be able to rank up research methods if that's something that I want to rank up. So when I go back to the pharmaceutical lab here, again, remember earlier, you've got to have this stuff on you. Once I start crafting these, and I'll just find something that I know I need. I really like the treatments. This will help you. You can see in that left-hand side there, get my research going. So I just make a few. Oh, wait, nope. You can't make multiple of the same thing and have it count. So I have to switch to a different one. I select to choose that and it moves forward. It's unique food. I thought maybe just they consider things unique, but it's like they have to be specifically different. You can't just make 5 of one thing. Resource management, understanding where to store things, how to rank up, using your resources to rank up properly are all critical items in this game. Now, we do want to throw some bonus ones in here for you. Anytime you are out and about trying to use the scanner, surveying, etc., you really got to make sure that you use the scan. See how it pops up a scan now? You need to scan it. Make sure that you click that button. Every plant, every animal. I was not doing this for quite some time. I thought it was maybe automatic. It's not. It helps you finish your survey, so it's very, very important. More XP, more skill points. We've been mentioning skills a lot. What skills are important, etc. We're going to do different videos on those, but one that I can tell you that's definitely really important is piloting. I am not able to pilot either Class B or Class C ships. And guess what? I had one land nearby me that I actually took over, killed everybody on board, but I could not pilot and take the ship because I had not been leveling up this skill. Piloting is arguably one of the most important skills in this game. Get it? Rank it up. Additionally, another critical skill I want to throw at you right now, weightlifting. When you are running around planets and you've got tons of stuff and you don't necessarily feel like fast traveling back to your ship a bunch of times, you just want to play, weightlifting is going to be huge. It allows you to lift more and more and carry more and more. There is also a boxing skill, and I'm not saying this is important, but it talks about unarmed attacks. Now, these also count for any sort of general melee attacks, I'd say. But if you ever do want to just use your fists to actually box, it might be a little bit hard to figure out how to become unarmed. And all you need to do is unequip your weapon. And since it doesn't say it in game, at least with the controller, all you have to do is press A. And honestly, this game should be called Space Squirrel because you can get so easily distracted in this game. There's things popping up all the time, little things popping up on your way from point A to point B, random spaceships popping up, random missions coming along. It happens literally non-stop. And you can get down so many deep, deep rabbit holes. Ultimately, do whatever is fun for you. But if you're looking to progress further, just remember that mission XP is pretty good and you really need those for the skills. Now, I know there's likely more than 10 must-knows before you start Starfield in this video, but I really wanted to get something going for those who are going to start and maybe didn't have early access to the game. And I really wanted to take my time before getting this video out so that I got a lot of hours in and talk to some other people who I trusted who had lots of hours. So within the 200 hours of gameplay, we think this is some of the most critical things to know before you start playing. We wanted to make sure that that information wasn't rushed and just tried to get out there before somebody else. It was more important to have a good video with good information that could actually help folks. So if you found this helpful at all, please consider hammering down that like button, notification bell, subscribe, all that sort of thing. And until next time, we hope you have a wonderful day.